This is Noda, and he is a golden Redrump parakeet. And he has a long life and a long story. And we wrote it down in this little book that says, "My name is Noda." So I'll read you this story while he sits on his perch. I am a 14-year-old male golden redrump parakeet. My species comes from Australia, and I'm in the long-tailed grass parakeet family. I'm related to budgies, however I'm quieter, less destructive, tidier, and plain old better than a budgie. Not to mention a lot more rare when it comes to the pet trade. My diet in the wild would consist of assorted seeds, especially grass, millets, fruits, greens, and some insects. In captivity, I like everything you like, except for avocado and chocolate, which are poisonous to me. Just like you, though, caffeine, sugar, and salts should be very limited in my daily diet. My particular favorite people foods are cooked potato, rice, pasta, chicken, and egg. The other things I like to try are toast, juice, bread, and crackers. Of course, the best things for me, I'm told, are fruits and vegetables, cooked, steamed, or raw. I should have them all, but I'm finicky, and just like little tastes, and then love to watch the rest go to waste. You know the saying, I eat like a bird. As I said earlier, my story began 14 years ago. I arrived with 2 sisters and a brother to a pet shop in Langley when I was about 3 weeks old. I wasn't weaned yet, so I had to be hand-fed baby bird pablum every 4 hours or so, except through the night. There were 2 people feeding me, a man named Greg, who owned the pet shop, and a girl named Rebecca, who helped all over the store, but especially worked with hand-feeding all baby birds. My brothers and sisters were all pretty nervous, but they would come around with patience and step up on fingers, ask for cuddling. Not me. I wanted to be in all the fun. I was always curious about new things, people, and animals around me. I was the first to jump up on fingers and loved to quietly twitter and sing to Rebecca and Greg. Oh yeah, and did I mention I was by far the most beautiful, important, wonderful bird in the whole store. After a number of weeks, I learned that I love eating seeds and messing with fruits and vegetables. I was put in the bin at the front of the store, and strangers of all shapes and sizes would come to pick me up and talk to me. I always enjoyed the familiar faces of Rebecca and Greg the most, though. One day, Rebecca picked me up to show me off to 2 other humans named Kathy and Carl. She told them how perfect I was and how I would always come to her and not just anyone else, how quiet and sweet my voice was, and well, she just told them how much she loved me. They seemed like very nice people, but I just wanted to get back down and eat my fresh spray millet. I thought nothing much of meeting these people, but little did I know my life was about to change. It just so happened this was the time called Christmas. Even though I didn't know what Christmas was yet, there was excitement in the air. Glittery, shiny bits decorating shelves and cages, red fuzzy hats, and smiling faces everywhere. I guess that man named Carl had bought me for Rebecca as a Christmas present, and so began my new life. Apparently, Rebecca didn't live at the pet store. She bundled me up one day in a small little cage and took me out of the store. She was very excited and told me I was going to be her bird and live at her house with her. Time passed, and I loved my new life. I was always watching things from my cage up high on a china cabinet, and was learning all the time. I learned that cats are funny animals that threaten to kill you all the time when their people aren't looking. I learned that dogs are wonderfully patient critters. I fell in love with Rebecca's dog named Silver. She would let me sit on her and pick and groom her thick, feathers? Or maybe it was something different? Fur? I could also chew at her toenails, pull out long hairs from her tail. I even tried to feed her by regurgitating my food for her and putting it all over her coat. She was a great friend, and I think she secretly loved me too. For a while I would try speaking human talk. I never spoke clearly, but I could say, "Good morning, Noda," and "Pretty bird." Soon, though, I quit speaking human. It's so much better to use my own voice in my own way, plus someone better to talk to would soon come into my life. A wonderful thing happened. When I was about 1.5 years old, Rebecca brought home the most beautiful thing I ever laid my eyes upon, a female golden redrump parakeet named Zoe. She was wonderful, and I loved her the moment I saw her. At first she was in the cage next to me, and I immediately tried to feed her through the bars of our cages. All I wanted to do was sit next to her. Within 2 days we were living together in a new, bigger cage, and life was good. Zoe and I spent our days preening each other, squabbling, and just being birds. I would still get to come out of the cage and play with Rebecca, sit on fingers and shoulders, go for car rides, come to visits at the pet stores as a mascot on some days. Lots of fun stuff. I even went to a senior's home to be a therapy bird. But I was always glad to get back to my Zoe. She was not like me, though. For some reason, she was what Rebecca called cage-bound. Zoe told me she was a much older girl, about 6 years older than me, and had never been let out of her cage or tamed. She liked to lay eggs all the time, so her old owners thought she might like a man in her life. They heard about Rebecca and decided to send Zoe to live with her, just in case it might work out that we could have babies of our own, and it might make Zoe happier. We tried all the time to have our babies. Lots of eggs would come and go. Zoe would sit and sit, but nothing ever came of them. I guess it just wasn't meant to be. But Zoe was meant for me, I know that. Not long after Zoe came, Rebecca got a mate of her own, a man named Rod. He was a funny guy. He would put me on his finger and call me a chicken and make funny noises. He always shared his food and treats with me and would talk to me quite often. Zoe, Rebecca, Silver, and I moved in with Rod one day, and we never looked back. Rod didn't have any cats. It was great. I always had my cage door open for a long time. The place we lived in was small, with almost no light from outside coming in. I didn't get as much sun, which I didn't really like, but I still had my Zoe, and Silver was around to watch as well. There was also a little human that would come and visit us, too. Her name was Ashley. I liked sitting on her finger, but we didn't get to see her enough. She was nice. I did have to be careful every once in a while, though. There were some other little dogs that would come tearing around our place every now and then. Cairn Terrors, I think they were called. There was one named Daisy who would sit just below my cage, whining and staring, and yet again she too was threatening to eat me the moment I came out of my cage. She even tried bumping me out of my cage a few times, but thankfully it never worked. Rebecca and Rod kept me safe. We didn't stay in that small dark place for long. Soon we moved into a much bigger house with lots of windows and a big TV to watch. I still loved my Silver and would run to her and preen her whenever I was out, but the sad day came that she went to the vet one night and didn't return. For a while after Silver went missing, Zoe wasn't enough to keep me in my cage, and I would try going up the stairs that Silver used to go up with Rod and Rebecca in hopes of finding her, but I never did. I think she went to doggy heaven, and it took a long time for me to get over losing my first love. Soon after Silver was gone, Rebecca brought home a new puppy, a golden retriever. He tried to eat me once. He caught me mid-air and got me all covered with slobber. It was very dark in there. Rebecca yelled at him to drop me, though, which he did right away, thank goodness. I didn't really like him all that much for a while. I scolded him as best I could once he ungraciously spit me out. It didn't take me long to discover that Sam loved me a lot. He loves everyone a lot. Rebecca taught him how to behave properly around me, and once again I could sit on a dog and pick and preen them. It's nice, but not as nice as good old Silver was. Eventually another even bigger dog came, a Great Dane named Angie. After her I couldn't come out as much as I used to, since I don't think she would have dropped me if Rebecca told her to. But still, Samson seemed to enjoy having her around. The new house was very interesting, and other birds even came to live with us for a while. They were other Australian parakeets like me, Redrumps and Splendids. They would chatter to us, and we saw them having babies, but poor Zoe still never had the joy of watching our own babies hatch. One day some people came around and took us in a cage to a busy, crowded place with lots of excitement. Zoe and I were to perform in a real blockbuster movie called Paycheck. We starred alongside a lady named Uma Thurman and a man named Ben Affleck. We had a great time drinking bottled water only on the set and having the best seeds and treats that money could buy. Lots of strangers held me on their finger and talked to me all day long. And miracle of miracles, my Zoe came out of the cage, that wasn't really ours, and sat on Uma's finger. She never liked to sit on fingers. It was unbelievable. Uma said she wanted to buy us from Rebecca. I couldn't understand why she thought that Rebecca would even think of selling us. We're family. Oh well, I guess she can dream about us, but we're staying put at Rod and Rebecca's. Even Rebecca had a baby one day. It was an ugly one without feathers. Rebecca and Rod loved her anyway and called her Rachel. I don't know why they gave her so much attention, but they did, and I guess it kept them from bothering me too much and letting me have more quality time with my Zoe. The Great Dane Angie left one day to never return, but a new one replaced her named Princess, and she's even more dangerous than Angie, so I get out even less than before. But years passed and life went on, as it always does, until that Christmas 2 years ago. My beautiful Zoe was getting weak. She didn't want to eat much anymore and was so depressed. She just wouldn't do things she used to do, and one day she settled down on the bottom of the cage, went to sleep, and never woke up. I was pretty upset when Rebecca took her out of the cage, that last time, and gave her a few nips for it, but there was nothing I could do. My Zoe was gone forever. Time since then has been a blur, really. My cage has moved a few times, and I feel pretty happy. But I have taken to trying to get Rod's attention more. I squeak and pip louder and louder until someone notices me, usually Rod, and then he throws me treats and food and opens my door and lets me out or covers me up. I'm doing well, but I wish I had more company. Sometimes it feels like no one has time for me now. But now things have changed and we work harder. That's the end of the story. And now we've been playing with Noda a lot more and making an effort to really make him part of the family. So we're going to make a few videos about Noda, and now you know his history. And we'll show you some funny things about this bird. Thanks for watching.